back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today we're going into some pretty mysterious territory. Ever heard of the Fane of Yog-Sothoth?
Oh, yeah, that's a name that sends shivers down the spine.
Right. They're all about this forbidden knowledge, like the stuff most people wouldn't even want to know, but then they're incredibly secretive about sharing it.
Yeah, a real paradox.
Big time. And we're going to try to make sense of it all.
Okay.
Using, well, some pretty interesting sources. We've got get this, a sermon given to new Fane members. An academic paper.
Okay.
That compares their ethical system to, like classic philosophy.
Interesting.
And a story about their initiation rituals.
Oh, wow. Those are supposed to be intense.
Intense is putting it mildly, from what I've heard.
So, where do we even start with a group like this?
Well, I guess the first question is, what is the Fane of Yog-Sothoth? The name itself is kind of, intimidating.
Yeah, a little bit. Yog-Sothoth, it comes from, a certain branch of thought.
Yeah.
Sometimes called Lovecraftian, after the author.
Right. H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. Cosmic horror, the whole deal.
Exactly. Cosmic entities, vast and ancient and way beyond anything we can really grasp. The Fane, they believe that Yog-Sothoth is like a source, a wellspring of powerful knowledge.
So not just some made-up name, then?
Oh, no, definitely not. This knowledge, though,
yeah,
it's dangerous stuff.
Okay. Starting to see why they might be a little secretive.
Yeah. And they see themselves as guardians, protectors of this knowledge.
Like keeping it out of the wrong hands.
Exactly. They actually call themselves, wait for it, Guardians of the Threshold.
Okay, gotta admit, that's a pretty cool title.
Right.
But that brings us right back to the whole paradox. Why guard knowledge so fiercely? If you think it's, important, valuable, why not share it?
Well, because their ethical system is, it's really unique. They believe that knowledge itself isn't good or evil.
So it's how it's used.
Exactly. It's like, think of fire.
Okay, I'm listening. It can give you warmth, light, but it can also burn out of control.
Powerful analogy. Makes me think about all the information we have now with the internet. Not all of it's good.
Right. And the Fane, they take that idea to a cosmic level. Actions, they believe, have consequences that go way beyond just us.
Beyond just Earth, you mean?
Beyond Earth, beyond our dimension even, rippling out across the multiverse. It's a core principle for them. They call it interconnectedness.
Ooh. So it's not just about you understanding something. It's about how your actions, based on that knowledge, affect everything.
Everything. Heavy stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. A lot of pressure.
And that leads right into their second big principle, cosmic responsibility. They believe that even though humans are, pretty small in the grand scheme of things.
Tiny specks.
Tiny specks, yeah. But our choices, they still matter. We have a duty to act in a way that keeps things in balance, not just for us, but for everything.
Okay, I'm starting to get why they're so picky about who they share this knowledge with. Give it to the wrong person. Or someone who's not ready.
Could throw everything out of whack. And that's where their third principle comes in, adaptability.
Adaptability.
No rigid rules. Every situation is different. Context matters.
Makes sense, I guess.
It requires constant, vigilance
and
a deep, deep understanding of how everything's connected.
Sounds exhausting.
It can be, but it also means there's always room for growth, learning.
So no easy answers then?
Not with the Fane, that's for sure.
But all this is pretty theoretical. How does someone actually prove they're ready for this?
Well, that's where our story about the Fane's initiation comes in. The Hierophant's trial.
The one you mentioned earlier.
Yep. Not for the faint of heart, let me tell you.
I bet. So what kind of trials are we talking about?
Challenges designed to test you. Not just your knowledge, but your character. How you think under pressure. What you value. How you handle power.
Okay, so not your average test.
Not even close. Give you an example.
Yeah, please.
One trial, they give you the scenario. Gotta choose. Save a city from being destroyed. Okay, heroic choice.
Except letting that city be destroyed might prevent something even worse. Something that threatens the whole world.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one.
Exactly. And the point isn't to pick the quote-unquote right answer. It's about how you approach the decision, what factors you consider, what you're willing to sacrifice.
It's about understanding that cosmic responsibility.
Right on.
Sounds like they're trying to weed out anyone who might be tempted to use this knowledge for, selfish reasons?
Oh, yeah. Power-hungry types, control freaks, they don't last long in the Fane.
They want people who get the bigger picture.
Exactly,
Mm.
which ties back into their role as guardians, protecting not just the knowledge, but, well, against its misuse, too.
So joining the Fane isn't just about learning cool secrets. It's about taking on this huge responsibility.
Huge.
And they don't mess around when it comes to that.
Nope.
It all comes back to that idea of balance, doesn't it? Balancing the pursuit of knowledge with the need to protect it, personal ambition with cosmic responsibility.
It's a complex dance. And it sounds like the Fane's been practicing their steps for a long, long time.
A very long time.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. The Fane's beliefs, their ethical system, even a taste of their intense initiation process.
It's just a taste.
But let's bring it back to you, the listener. I gotta say, this whole cosmic responsibility thing, it's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. It really makes you feel, well, kind of small, doesn't it?
Yeah, like a speck of dust.
Exactly. Trying to imagine our actions having these consequences that go out across the whole multiverse.
It's almost impossible. And yet the Fane, they're saying we can't just ignore it. We have to factor it in. But how?
Right. That's the challenge. It takes a real shift in how you see things, moving past just our immediate concerns,
Thinking bigger.
way bigger. The Fane, they suggest that you can actually cultivate this awareness
Oh, okay.
through, well, a lot of things. Disciplined study, meditation, really engaging with the mysteries of the universe.
So it's not about some special power. It's more like a mindset.
Yeah. Exactly. They believe anyone can develop this cosmic consciousness if they're dedicated enough and have the right guidance. It's about expanding your perception, going beyond the limits of everyday life and seeing how everything's connected.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Even in our own lives, right? We make choices that affect other people,
All the time.
like a parent raising a kid
Yeah.
or a teacher with their students. Those actions have consequences that can last for generations.
Perfect examples. It shows that we all have some level of responsibility for the knowledge we have and the choices we make based on it. The Fane just takes that idea and stretches it out to a cosmic level.
So it's not just about the knowledge itself. It's about the impact it can have, for good or for bad.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the Fane's whole guardian thing. They're protecting the knowledge, yeah, but also protecting against its misuse. Trying to make sure it's used ethically, wisely.
Walking a tightrope almost.
Good way to put it.
But doesn't all this secrecy, doesn't that create problems too?
Oh, absolutely. That's a debate that's been going on for ages. Some people, they think that the Fane's secrecy is necessary.
Like a protection.
Yeah, to protect humanity and the knowledge itself from those who might abuse it. They'd say open access to this kind of information, it could be, well, chaotic.
Like giving a loaded gun to a kid.
Pretty much.
Right.
But then others argue that this secrecy makes them elitist, creates a divide between those in the know and everyone else.
They'd say more transparency is better.
Right. That it would lead to a more equal, harmonious society.
So it's the classic dilemma. Security versus freedom, the need to control things versus open access.
Yep. No easy answers. The Fane's approach, it has good points and bad points. It's up to each person to decide if they think it's justified.
Makes me think about the debates we have now about like government surveillance or AI.
Oh, good point.
How do we balance the good that can come from new tech with the risks?
Exactly. So these questions about knowledge, power, responsibility, they're not just for this ancient group. We deal with them every day.
Makes you wonder if the Fane's forbidden knowledge isn't so much about specific facts or whatever, but a way of thinking,
Interesting.
a way of approaching the world and our place in it.
I like that. You're onto something there. Maybe the real treasure they're guarding isn't a secret code or a magic ritual, but this understanding of how everything's connected. A cosmic consciousness that lets you see beyond your own little viewpoint and act for the good of the whole.
Wow, that's deep. It makes me think about the gates we all guard.
Okay.
The knowledge, the skills, the experiences we have, the things we share or don't share with others, and how those choices affect them.
Now, that's a fascinating question to think about. It shows that we all have a part to play in shaping the world, whether we realize it or not.
It sounds like the Fane's just asking us to be more aware of that, to think about the consequences of our actions,
Yeah.
to approach knowledge carefully.
With humility, responsibility.
Yeah. They're urging us to be guardians of our own thresholds.
Yeah.
What we let in, what we let out, recognizing that connection between everything.
It is a lot to ponder.
It is. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I'm curious about the people in the Fane Who are these guardians? So we've been digging into this Fane of Yog-Sothoth, protectors of, well, some pretty intense knowledge. But who are these people? Are we talking like robed figures chanting in a hidden temple?
Haha, yeah, that's the image, isn't it? But our sources, they paint a bit of a different picture. Like that sermon, it really emphasizes inner qualities over outward appearances.
Okay, so what kind of qualities are we talking?
Humility, compassion, willingness to serve. That's what they value.
So not about power or prestige then?
Not really, no. It kind of flips the script, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Like, who do we usually think of when we think of people with powerful knowledge?
Well, I guess people who want to control things or use that knowledge for their own gain.
Exactly. But the Fane, they're different. Think back to the initiation story.
The Hierophant's trial.
Yeah, the Hierophant Vanessa, she's tough, demanding, but there's also this, like, weariness about her. Like, she's carrying a heavy weight.
You're right. There's that line where she says, what was it? The Fane's truths are not prizes to be fought over. They are burdens.
Exactly. It's not a glorious quest for them, guarding this knowledge. It's a duty, a responsibility.
So not power-hungry villains or glory-seeking heroes. They're more like, caretakers. Protecting something precious.
Yeah, I like that. Caretakers. Preserving something for future generations, maybe.
And not just for humans, right?
Right. For the whole multiverse, if you believe their whole cosmic responsibility thing.
It's a lot to ask of someone, though, isn't it? Devoting your whole life to protecting secrets that most of the world doesn't even know exist.
It is. And that's probably why well, you can't even say they're recruiting, really. It's all very subtle.
They're not exactly putting up flyers.
Nope. More like attracting people who are already on a similar path, searching for answers, those who get that whole interconnectedness idea.
So less about finding specific people, more about letting the right people find them.
Exactly. Like a cosmic magnet, maybe.
Okay, yeah. That fits with their whole adaptability thing too, right?
Totally. They don't want followers just obeying orders. They need people who can think for themselves, make tough calls, handle whatever comes up.
Makes me think about all the different ways people seek knowledge in the real world. Scientists, artists, philosophers, they're all pushing boundaries, exploring new ideas, asking big questions.
Mm-hmm.
Are they, in their own way, kind of like guardians too? Guardians of their own thresholds?
Oh, that's a really interesting way to think about it. Maybe we're not all dealing with cosmic entities and forbidden knowledge, but we all have something to offer, right? Some kind of knowledge or experience that we choose to share or not.
And those choices, they matter. They have an impact.
Definitely. So maybe the Fane isn't that different from us after all. They're just on a much bigger playing field. The knowledge they're dealing with, it could have, well, huge consequences, but the principles, the core ideas, responsibility, making careful choices, thinking about the impact you have, those are important for all of us.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the key takeaways here.
Mm-hmm.
The Fane, they're mysterious, secretive, but they remind us to be mindful, to think about the knowledge we have, the choices we make, to remember that even our smallest actions can have these ripple effects.
To be guardians of our own thresholds, right?
Exactly. To approach knowledge, all knowledge, with curiosity, but also with caution. And to remember that we're all part of something much, much bigger than ourselves.
It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? And maybe, just maybe, if we can embrace that interconnectedness, if we can start acting with a sense of cosmic responsibility, well, maybe we can create a better future, not just for us, but for everything.
That's a great note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the Fane of Yog-Sothoth. It's been, well, enlightening.
You could say that again.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep those thresholds guarded.